Again, two ways that confidence is developed is one, how we dialogue with ourselves. What we say to ourselves will help with the feelings of confidence. And two, how we use our body. Now, we might not be feeling confident, but we can still show up and present ourselves and create motions that produce and simulate the feelings of confidence. Then the feelings will follow. You don't wait around for the feelings in order for you to perform confidently. You show up, use your body, talk to yourself confidently, and the feelings will then follow suit. Now, let's dive into this concept of the booth. And I want to begin with a story of where this concept came from. Now, before I became a sports psychologist, I was a performer. I sang and I played guitar and I was in a band. And I had an American Idol audition coming up. The day before the American Idol audition, I was freaking out. I was really, really nervous. And so I called my vocal coach. His name was Richard Nicole. And I called Richard up and I said, Richard, I'm freaking out. I have my American Idol audition tomorrow and I need help. Please give me a vocal lesson. So he called me over to his academy. This was back in San Francisco. And instead of giving me a vocal lesson, he sat me down on his couch and he told me a story of Norma Jean Mortison. Now, if you're like me, I've never heard of Norma Jean Mortison before, and I had no idea where the story was going and how it was going to help, but it changed my life. He said, if you haven't heard of Norma Jean Mortison, you may have heard of a person named Marilyn Monroe. And I said, yes, I have. He said, Norma Jean Mortison is Marilyn Monroe. That's just Marilyn Monroe is her stage name. So I started kind of following along, and he was telling me a true story of what happened during the late 1950s when Marilyn Monroe was the hottest, sexiest celebrity in the world. She was walking down Hollywood Boulevard with her best friend in the middle of the day. This was on a weekend, on the middle of the day, and nobody was coming up to them asking for an autograph or a picture. Now, mind you, Marilyn Monroe is like the hottest celebrity at that time. Everybody knew who she was, but nobody was coming up to them. So her best friend was looking at her saying, I don't get it. We're in the middle of the day. There's all these people around, but nobody's coming up to us or up to you asking for an autograph. And she looked at her best friend and she said, honey, it's because I'm not Marilyn Monroe right now. I'm Norma Jean Mortison. And her best friend looked at her and said, aren't you the same person? I don't get it. She goes, no, but watch this. So in that moment, she went into her handbag and she pulled out her handkerchief and she put it over her head. And then she went in and got one of those big Gucci glasses that she had and covered her face. And she did something. She did a transformation with her body. And before she even took 10 steps after this transformation from Norma Jean into Marilyn Monroe, there was a stampede of people who swarmed at them. It shut down Hollywood Boulevard. There were so many people that police had to come and escort them out of that street. And this is a true story. She shut down Hollywood Boulevard in the middle of the day after making a transformation. Now, Richard Nicole, my vocal coach, was telling me the story that performers and performances require for you to show up as an alter ego, your ideal state. And you have to act your way into this confident feeling. So instead of faking it till you make it, he said, be it till you see it. Be it till you see it. So I was kind of working on this and I saw an episode of Superman, and this is where the booth came from. I was watching Superman, and before he's Superman, who is he? He's a person named Clark Kent. That's right. So Clark Kent is this reporter, right? He's a reporter that's clumsy, who trips over his words, and he has glasses, and he's very shy. And then all of a sudden, disaster happens. He goes outside the building, and what does he look for to transform? He goes into a telephone booth, and then he just transforms, and he becomes what? Superman. And all of a sudden, his posture is different. He doesn't have glasses anymore. His hairdo is perfect. And he has a cape, a costume. And he's ready to save the world. But he's the same person. Let me give you one more example. Stephanie Germanotta. She is an artist, a singer, and she loves to perform, but she's really shy and awkward. When she's not on stage, she's an introvert. She's shy and she has a lot of anxiety. She's seen counselors all her life for social anxiety and dealing with some of the anxiety issues that she struggled with. But she does a transformation behind the stage. She transforms into someone and she steps out on stage and she becomes what we know as Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's real name is Stephanie. Now she transforms herself into Lady Gaga so that she can show up as the performer self. So the booth, the telephone booth, is a mechanism, a process of transforming ourselves into our alter ego state. Now, if you watch athletes, performers, and musicians, whoever it may be, when you have to show up and perform at your most ideal state, a lot of people transform into a character, believe it or not. Let me give you a sport example. Who's the Black Mamba? Have you ever heard of that alter ego name? Kobe Bryant, that's right. I'm going to teach you how you actually transform yourself into a character using this booth methodology. The first thing that we need to do to transform ourselves to perform our best is one, you have to be able to articulate the characteristics of your alter ego. What does that even mean? Okay, so a lot of people, let's say I struggle with public speaking. I get really nervous and I focus on all the things that I don't want to do. I don't want to stumble on my words. I don't want to forget my content of what I'm trying to deliver. I don't want to keep saying or, and, all these filler words. I focus on all the things that I don't want to do. But this is not right. When we create and sustain confidence using this booth methodology, you have to be able to describe an ideal performance, showing up with ideal characteristics of this performer, your ideal self. Now, if you had a superpower and you showed up as an alter ego, what are some of those characteristics? I can see myself with my chest puffed out. I can see myself walking with a little bit of a swag. I can see myself looking up, making good eye contact with people, not being afraid. You got to be able to describe the characteristics of this alter ego. That's number one. Describe your ideal performance state. What does that look like? Number two, with this booth concept, is you got to give your alter ego a name. It has to have a name and it has to come alive. A lot of people even have models and pictures of this alter ego to remind them who they are about to become. So Black Mamba is this panther, or Lady Gaga has this flamboyant costume that she transforms into. Think about Brian Dawkins, who transforms into Weapon X, Wolverine. He has Wolverine miniature characters in his locker room and a poster of it. So we need to have a name that we call our alter ego. And you can use animals, you can use real names, you can use superhero names, Wonder Woman, all these type of things you can use to describe your alter ego, how you want to show up. So again, number one is you got to identify the characteristics of what this ideal performance state is and how your character shows up. Number two is you have to identify a name. You got to describe it and name it and have a clear picture of what it looks like and feels like. And the last thing that we do with the booth is how does this person show up to perform? Meaning, how does it talk to itself? How does this character talk to other people? How does this character look like if we were going to film it and interview it? What would it say? What would it think? What would it do? Describe those things of how your alter ego shows up. Then we can have a process of when we actually make that transformation before we go behind the scenes. And that's what's coming up next.